watch like travel vlogs, so I don't know how I'm supposed to start this. Welcome. This year, I was a featured creator at VidCon, which means I needed to get from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Anaheim, California, and back again. So my fiance and I decided to take a road trip and stop at a couple of the awesome natural history sites along the way, namely the Barringer Meteor Crater and the Grand Canyon. Was there other cool stuff to see in the states that we were driving through? Almost certainly. Were they on the road that we were driving on? Maybe. Were we interested in driving any more than we already were? Absolutely not. So get ready to learn some cool things and see some cool places as I create the worst travel vlog that you've ever seen. We're going to VidCon. I'm a feature creator this year, and I'm gonna be doing a show and a panel and doing like little random events all over the place. It's gonna be great. And so we've packed up like our entire house. Most of what's back here is just a giant kit for the show that we're doing. And we are currently driving to California. Look, this, oh God, this is the Arkansas River as we leave Tulsa. There's the big old ORU towers back there. This is the aquarium in Jinx. This is where I live. This is my home. This is Tulsa, Oklahoma. The most wonderful place in the whole world if you like bad places. And that's a sedan. Oklahoma's a crazy place, man. Oklahoma is the home of the nicest lunatics that you will ever meet. Every single person here would help you change a tire, and every single person here would stab you over a sandwich. Come see our pipe yards for all the pipe that you pipe. Mushroom truck. We pronounce this Miami here. Driving through El Reno, Oklahoma. Fun fact, El Reno is Spanish for the reindeer. You'll never guess what don't live in Oklahoma. Come visit Majestic, Oklahoma. Shit's on fire here. And then we discovered the land of 1,000 windmills. That one's tired. I freaking love wind turbines. And now I am going to talk about them. Wind is just a fascinating thing to think about because it's just air moving. And that phenomenon is monumentally important to countless different processes all across the planet, not the least of which being the lives and evolution of countless species. But why does the air move? What gets it started, and where does the energy come from, and how is it that such a seemingly random process can be so predictable? What's really important to remember is that air is a physical object. It isn't just some magical, ethereal nonsense. It's made of atoms. It has mass. It takes up space. It is pressing down on you right now. The weight of the atmosphere at sea level is about 14.7 pounds per square inch. You have a lot of square inches over the surface of your body, so all in total, the weight of the air pressing on you at this very moment is about as much as the weight of a car. So the air is a physical thing, and it's all around us, all over the surface of the Earth, and the Earth is spinning, which means it's dragging the air along with it. But remember, the Earth isn't flat and smooth. Its surface is bumpy and irregular, which means different parts of the air are getting dragged or pushed differentially in different ways. By the way, fun fact, as important as the differences in elevation across the surface of the Earth are, they're remarkably insignificant on the large scale. Take a second to think about the difference between the height of the tallest mountain and the depths of the darkest deep sea trench, and then bask in the fact that if you were to shrink the Earth down to the size of a billiard ball, it would be about as smooth as a billiard ball. So you've got this air being dragged around by the rotation of the Earth, but you've also got the sun beating down at all times, adding new energy, differentially increasing the temperature of the molecules on one half of the planet. And as those molecules get more energy, they start to wiggle and jiggle around a lot more, and bump into each other a lot more, and knock each other away from each other a lot more, which decreases the density of those gases, causing them to rise up above the colder, more densely packed gases, which sink down. And that's why hot gas rises. So we've got this air that's just all around us all the time, and it's being heated up and cooled down based on its exposure to the sun, while also being stirred by the rotation of the whole planet. So it's moving like this and like this, and that's what creates the wind, and we can use that to turn turbines, which can power the thing that you're watching me on at this moment. How awesome is that to think about, dude? And the turbines themselves are radical as well. The shape of the blades creates unequal air pressure on the top and the bottom, which causes the turbine to spin. They work for the exact same reason that airplanes fly, by making air move at different speeds above and below the wing. Now, the big blades only spin at about 18 revolutions per minute, which isn't fast enough to do anything useful. So the blades are connected to a shaft, which is connected to a big gear, which is connected to a little itty bitty tiny gear, which makes that little gear spin at about 1800 revolutions per minute, which is enough to make some serious electricity. During my undergrad, I actually had to calculate things like this quite a lot. If a gear of this diameter was rotating this much, then how much would a gear of that diameter that was attached to it be rotating? And that was just for like trigonometry and basic physics. If you're studying something like mechanical engineering, you'd be able to expound on that and figure out how much torque is involved and what kind of power output you would expect. Like, there is so much amazing math wrapped up into these turbines. It's freaking awesome. When you see a whole bunch of them like this, all lined up, they're all connected to one computer system. And so they can all angle to point into the incoming wind, and then the ones up here in front will actually spin slower. They'll increase the torque, so that way the ones in the back are able to spin as well, and it increases the power output of the whole system. Get out of the way! Friggin' Honda piece of shit. And so the whole thing works better because they're all coordinated, and they extract more energy from the wind. Even a small wind farm generates enough electricity to power over 9,000 homes, and that energy is free for us to use as long as the Earth keeps spinning and the sun keeps shining. So for the next 4 billion years or so. By the by, almost every single time that I talk about how much I love wind turbines, somebody will inevitably complain to me that they kill a lot of birds. And this rumor is super prevalent, largely because of misinformation campaigns to try to convince people that our dependence on fossil fuels is necessary and not the result of blatant and obvious corruption. But just to clear things up, wind turbines account for less than 1% of all anthropogenic bird deaths. You know what does kill a lot of birds? Windows. Almost 60% of the time, when a bird dies because of something that humans did, it's because they just crashed into a building. So when you come up with a large-scale solution for that, then you can complain to me about clean energy alternatives. But until then, I don't want to hear it. And if you really want to prove how much you love birds, why don't you start by locking your ugly cat inside, Jerry? Because that's almost 11% right there. Anyway, back to the video. It's Texas. Oh, Texas. Oh, you Texas.
Welcome to Texas.
We are currently in the Texas Panhandle, and the more I think about that, the less sense that it makes. Like, Oklahoma has a panhandle, because the whole state more or less kind of looks like a pan with a handle on the side. And that makes sense. Even Florida has a pan handle, even though it doesn't really look like a pan or anything like that at all. It's still like a linear horizontal projection off of the humid sea scrotum that is Florida. But Texas, it's a tiny little angular projection, this growth sticking straight up. Who calls that a panhandle? Top hat, call it Texas top hat. I'd have a lot more truck with that. But why a panhandle? Leaning Tower of Texas. Mesas are flat because of the differential strength of the rock layers. So as these are forming over billions and millions of years, different kinds of rock are laid down in sequential layers, and then through erosion, later on, the soft layers on top wash away, and it leaves a flat surface of hard stone. How cool is that? Getting into New Mexico, the brush is getting scrubbier. Look at that. How beautiful. Focus. Focus. Focus, goddammit. Focus, you son of a bitch. Focus.
Welcome to New Mexico.
It's New Mexico! We're in Albuquerque, right over here by West Side Pets. We made it to the hotel in Albuquerque, and we have been driving for almost 10 hours now. So we're gonna turn on the Game Grumps and go to sleep. Good night. Is that good?
No.
That's real nice. That Denny's. Tomorrow happened. This is that. Last night we made it into Albuquerque, and now today we're going to be driving to the Meteor Crater, which is about 40 miles east of Flagstaff, and that's going to be amazing. We're going to learn all sorts of cool stuff. So today, at the morning times, more burgering shall occur, and then onto the road we go. Man, this whole experience of vlogging is very strange. Why do people do this? Come on down to the French Quarter Motel, where they got Lurtus. Do you think that anybody who drives an RV in New Mexico is freaking sick of Breaking Bad jokes?
Take the next right onto Atrisco Vista Boulevard, I-40 frontage road.
Shut the fuck up! We saw a sign for a national park over here called El Mal País, which would literally mean the bad country. So I'm guessing this is like the Badlands was what you would call this. It's pretty cool. We saw lots of signs for an ice cave, and that sounded really cool, but we ended up driving past it because it is way, way, way off the beaten path for us. It's going to take us quite a while to get there. So we'll put that one on the next one, episode 2 of Exploring New Mexico's Holes.
Welcome to Arizona!
Get in the zone! Arizona. That's fucking stupid.
No, I love that.
Exactly how is it that we are out in the middle of the desert in Arizona and it is 15 degrees cooler here than it was in Oklahoma? We are in Winslow, Arizona, and that is a flatbed Ford. Flatbread. This train is carrying like semi-trucks. I feel like they're either skipping steps or adding more steps. Bitch, I know. The Barringer Crater was formed just under 50,000 years ago, when a 300,000-ton, 150-foot diameter iron asteroid smashed into what is now the Colorado Plateau in northern Arizona at a speed of around 26,000 miles per hour. Here you can see the largest surviving piece of that asteroid, and just this little chunk weighs over 1,400 pounds. It turned out 175 million tons of rock and left a crater that's 570 feet deep and nearly a mile wide. Paleoenvironmental reconstruction of the impact site shows that it was a juniper pinon forest that was full of woolly mammoths and giant ground sloths and camels and horses and bison, all of which were vaporized in the fiery blast. Debris was launched at least 40 miles in every direction as 600-mile-an-hour winds ripped through the landscape. Every living thing within 8 miles would have either been disintegrated, ripped apart, or hit so hard by the shockwave that their internal organs just turned into soup. The hemorrhaging, the edemas, the extreme differences in internal versus external pressure, the amount of things killed by flying rocks or trees or the carcasses of other things, the carnage would have been unbelievable. And we can still see clear evidence of that apocalyptic impact today. The Barringer Crater has a diameter of about 4,200 feet and a circumference of almost 2.5 miles. It's 570 feet deep with a rim protruding up that's almost 200 feet high. For context, here in the center of the crater is a little mannequin of an astronaut that's 6 feet tall, standing next to a flag that's 3 feet by 5 feet. They even provide a little telescope so you can see them. And as wild as that is to think about, I met up with an awesome tour guide named Jeremy who reminded me that this crater has been slowly filling in from erosion around the rim for the past 50,000 years. So the crater's initial depth would have been closer to 1,400 feet. The Meteor Crater also has an accompanying museum that tells an amazing story of scientific discovery there at the site. When American settlers first discovered the crater back in the 19th century, it immediately became an area of scientific interest. But at the time, the idea that rocks could fall from the sky was not widely accepted. People still tended to believe that the Earth was exactly how it had been since the beginning of time, and things flying around in outer space and out of our control was really not a popular opinion. In fact, a geologist named Grove Carl Gilbert was one of the first scientists to study the site, and he concluded that the crater was the result of a subterranean steam explosion. Weirdly enough, as wrong as he was about that, he was one of the first scientists to suggest that craters on the moon were the result of meteor impacts and not volcanoes. How crazy is that? This dude was exceedingly wrong and revolutionarily right at the same time. It wasn't until 1903 that Daniel Barringer showed up and suggested that the crater was caused by a meteor strike. And he wasn't even a scientist. He owned an iron company and wanted to mine the crater for iron. After that, the crater pretty much exclusively became a site for scientific research. And through the 1900s, more and more data piled in, confirming its origin. Before long, the Barringer Crater became the first geological feature ever confirmed to have been created by collision with an extraterrestrial object. How sick is that? It's a meteor crater, yes, but it's also the first meteor crater that we ever concluded was actually a meteor crater. And now it's just a radically cool place for anybody to go explore. But all this meteor talk got me thinking, and for me, the biggest takeaway from all of this was that if there were another meteor like the one that formed this crater, or maybe even a bigger one that was hurtling towards Earth right now, there is a worrying chance that by the time we noticed it, it would be way too late to do anything about it. Our best bet with an incoming asteroid or meteor would be to change its trajectory, rather than blowing it up and turning it into millions of still deadly and now much less predictable meteors. So we would want to either pull it or push it off course, getting it away from the Earth so it could go somewhere else. And that would take a lot of time, even more money, and worst of all, coordinated political efforts. And even with our best technology and unlimited funds and everybody getting along, a project like that would take a few decades, assuming we got it right on the first try. Now, as grim as all that may sound, there's no reason to panic right now. We've tracked pretty much every major asteroid and whatnot out in our solar system that we know of, so it's very unlikely that anything is going to surprise us. But that hasn't stopped things from surprising us every now and then. Like, for example, in 2013, when a meteor fell over Russia, damaging buildings and blowing out windows for over 200 square miles as it exploded 14 miles above the ground. So how did we not see this one coming? Well, in this instance, the meteor crossed too close to the sun on its way to Earth, so it was completely washed out by the sun's gravity and light, and we didn't detect it until it was already in our atmosphere and releasing energy equivalent to over 400,000 tons of TNT. The sudden and frankly terrifying nature of this event caused Dr. King-Shu Yin, a professor at UC Davis's Department of Earth and Planetary Science, to say, if humanity does not want to go the way of the dinosaurs, we need to study an event like this in detail. And I happen to agree with him. On average, the Earth is struck by 17 meteors, which are big enough to reach the ground, every day. Now, most of these are pretty small and land out in unpopulated areas, so nobody really notices, but impact with a big meteor is kind of inevitable. So if we want to protect ourselves from real damage, we as a global society need to be thinking about this rationally and planning ahead and putting responsible protections in place early. You know, because we're so good at doing all those things. On November 24th, 2021, NASA launched the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or the DART mission. It's a spacecraft headed to a binary asteroid system with the intention of knocking one of the two asteroids into a new orbit. This is the first test of technology that we hopefully never have to use, but definitely want to have ready if we need it. The DART is set to make impact on September 26th of this year, so keep your fingers crossed, and if you want to learn more, I'll leave a link to the official website and an easy-to-digest fact sheet in the description below. Before we left the Meteor Crater, we swung by the gift shop, where I found this beautiful new engagement ring for Amber, as well as this display of what the museum says are real dinosaur bones, but looking through them, I found only coral and clams and crinoids and the like, which are probably some of the cheapest and most plentiful fossils in existence, so if there are any real dinosaur bones in there, they're hidden pretty well. Unfortunately, the museum has avoided any scrutiny with this big red label that just says mixed fossils. We also found these Orthoceras fossils, and I got really excited until I noticed that they were way too reasonably priced to be real, so we figured it was just time to leave. Is now a good time to mention this video is sponsored by NordVPN? This video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN wants to help you take control of your internet experience, and to do so, they're offering all of my subscribers a huge discount on a 2-year plan, plus an additional month free. And all you gotta do to get it is go to nordvpn.com/ValkaiLabs. They even have a new threat protection feature that stops malware, keeps you off of malicious websites, blocks intrusive ads, and prevents trackers even when your VPN service is turned off. And as if you weren't already getting a massive bang for your buck, one account protects up to 6 different devices. I've got it on every phone and computer and laptop that I work with, and the whole thing is protected by Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, so what are you waiting for? Go to nordvpn.com/ValkaiLabs or click the link in the description below to find out more. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and now we drive to Flagstaff.
Hold on, tire wonkus. I'm getting over it. Western horse.
That is the best Western horse I've ever seen. I have no idea what kind of spider this is, but it is sharing my hotel room with me. I'm happy you're here, little buddy. So we just got to the hotel in Flagstaff and we grabbed some food on the way. You wouldn't believe this unless I took a picture of it. I wouldn't believe this unless I had taken a picture of it. We found a combination of Taco Bell and Long John Silver's. I'm about to drink a Baja Blast and eat a fish fillet. I'm about to put fire sauce on a hush puppy. I am about to test the limits of my gastrointestinal fortitude. I am ready to get sick. It's hard to express just how sick I got last night. On to the Grand Canyon. I thought this tree was just starting to wake up in the middle of June with its leaves unfurling, but no, it's actually accrued a lot of damage and lost a lot of leaves. You can see these galls all over it, these weird little lumps. These are from bugs munching on them, hurting his leaves. Poor little dude. Hope he's okay. Day 3 started out well, except for the fact that I left my bag of happy colas in the car, and by the morning they had become sad colas. Bearing the weight of that loss, we strapped in and prepared for the 1 hour and 20-minute drive through miles and miles of ponderosa pine forests. Mountain. Finally arrived at the canyon. It was spectacular. I got a lot of footage of the Grand Canyon, but it's awesome to think about the fact that unlike the Meteor Crater, there's no way that I could have possibly gotten it all in one shot, or at least not standing on the ground. The only way to get the entire Grand Canyon in one picture is to go to space. This is the Grand Canyon. It's 277 miles long, 6,001 feet deep, 18 miles wide, and 4.3 trillion cubic meters in volume. In case you were wondering, that's the equivalent of around 771 trillion soccer balls. In fact, if you wanted to try to fill the Grand Canyon with soccer balls and you stood on the edge and kicked one in every single second, it would take a little over 24 million years to fill it in. And considering the fact that the Grand Canyon is only about 6 million years old, the rate of erosion that formed the canyon in the first place would outcompete you trying to fill it in, and the canyon would be much deeper and wider by the time that you were done. And that is even more mind-boggling than the numbers themselves.
The farther down into the canyon you go, the older the rocks are. So each one of these layers of strata is older than the last. The youngest on top, the oldest on the bottom. The oldest rocks here at the Grand Canyon are almost 2 billion years old.
The canyon is so deep that it contains totally different weather zones. The temperature at the edge of the Colorado River at the bottom can be 25 degrees hotter than it is up along the rim. And the biology of the different areas reflects this change, with coniferous forests near the top and cacti and blackbrush down at the bottom.
Just how long is that little tree? Been right there, just hanging on. I love them.
There are even little springs throughout the bottom of the canyon with their own riparian ecosystems that display more biodiversity than anywhere else in the entire park. And the canyon is home to several endangered species, my favorite of which being the Kanab amber snail. Here's a picture of one next to a dime. They're so little! Oddly enough, I think the most striking thing about this place for me was the blue haze that permeated my view. Before, whenever I saw old pictures of this place, I always assumed that that haze was just because the cameras were old and crappy, but no, that's just there all the time. And it's because there's so much empty space in this canyon that the atmosphere has enough room to noticeably scatter light in the exact same way that it does in the sky above. I don't know why, but seeing the blue sky below me while I'm standing on the ground was just wild to me.
At the Grand Canyon. And of course, Forrest is on his phone.
Well, I'm recording TikToks.
Another cool thing to think about is that as the Grand Canyon eroded over millions of years, the dirt that was there flowed south towards the Gulf of California and became what is now the Imperial Valley, which is where almost 2/3 of the winter crops for the whole United States come from today. So if you live anywhere in the US, there is a significant chance that you are deeply connected to the Grand Canyon. What it was millions of years ago allow you to be what you are today. And speaking of connections, there are 11 native tribes that have a deep connection to the canyon, as they're actually from this region and are connected both to the lands and the resources of this area. And yes, I will be providing links to the official websites of every single one of those tribes in the description below. As you walk along the path to see the first lookout points of the canyon, you cross over this massive medallion carved into the pavement below you, reminding you of the people who lived there long before we did. I love this so much because it forces all of the people visiting this park to be confronted with the native populations, both past and present, and remember whose home they're walking through. That is very important. I think that this especially struck a chord with me because I was born and raised in Oklahoma, which is where the US forced a lot of tribes to relocate to. So I've lived on tribal land my whole life, and not only is that something that I just don't see enough recognition of, but it's actually difficult to imagine what sufficient recognition would even look like, because there are just so many tribes, so many cultures, so many people here who deserve to be represented that just aren't. Anyway, things like this always make me hopeful that maybe someday down the line, somebody else will see it and learn a little bit about the history of the land that they're walking on and the hideous, shameful things that happened here. And once they're done wiping some of the pride and exceptionalism out of their eyes, they'll start to learn about the 574 federally recognized tribes that are still around today and their cultures and the way that they saw themselves and the world and how they fit in the world. And then also that those types of ideals were all over the planet for a very long time until the hyper-individualistic society that is now indicative of most of the developed world steamrolled over all of them. And then, once they see that this isn't the only way, nor arguably the best way to do things, they can start having real, serious conversations and thinking really critically about the very foundations of our society. And then we can build a new civilization where we take care of ourselves and the planet better, and where human rights and dignity don't have a price tag. It's a fun dream. Amber and I had heard that there was going to be a star party the night that we chose to visit. The Grand Canyon is an international dark sky park, meaning because it's so far away from any cities or great amounts of artificial light, it's an excellent place to see the rest of the galaxy, and there was no way that we were going to miss that opportunity. So we spent the next several hours waiting for sundown by exploring the park and soaking in this extraordinary landscape. I freaking love this planet so much. After dark, we got to watch an awesome presentation from an astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory named Dean Regas. He spent most of his show zooming out from Earth and showing everyone just how big the universe is. And it was so much fun to listen to so many people clearly having to deal with that information for the first time. Then we headed behind the visitor center, where dozens of amateur and professional astronomers had set up their telescopes. And for the next several hours, in the absolute pitch black park, we saw amazing images of the night sky, got tours of different constellations, and even saw the middle of the Milky Way in person for the first time in our lives. Unfortunately, while I'm sure that my camera could have captured the majesty that was that night sky, I have no idea how to make it work that way. So I guess just take my word for it. It was real pretty.
And now it is midnight, and we have to drive to Anaheim tomorrow, which is another 7 hours. And my nose is all stuffed up, and so it is time for the consumption of more burgers. And then I am going to pass out. So see you in the morning. Welcome to tomorrow. We are leaving Flagstaff today and headed to Anaheim, which is about 7 or 8 hours away. But VidCon only booked our hotel for like the day that VidCon starts, because they expected me to fly in, and since I didn't, I don't have a hotel for that night. So we're gonna go to Anaheim, stay in a different hotel, and then get up first thing in the morning at the ass crack of dawn to go to the VidCon hotel to check in early so that we can get our credentials and everything. So it's going to be a fun night. So come along as we go to California. It's actually a good thing that we're taking this drive today, because today is June 21st. It's the summer solstice. So this is the longest day out of the whole year and the official beginning of summer. So we're driving to California for the beginning of summer. Neither one of us have ever been to California before. What an awesome way to start this season. I feel like the quality of this video as a vlog is significantly stifled by the fact that I have no idea how a vlog works. I don't watch them. I've never watched them. I don't know what to do or what to expect. Is this good? Is this fun? Are you having a good time? I don't know. Somebody call Colleen Ballinger. Get her in here. She can tell me what to do. Look at all these spider webs on this bush.
That's what your mom said.
Oh God, where are we? I have no idea where we are. Oh, right. Seriously, am I the only one who finds it incredibly weird that we have gigantic flags everywhere in this country? Like, is there any other country that doesn't remember where or who they are? America. E-America. I-America. O-America. You-America. And sometimes, why? America?
Okay, I'm getting out of here.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever recorded.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not staying here for that. As we're getting close to California, we can get back to the main content of this road trip, the windmills! We really just took this road trip to see all the windmills.
Yeah. Been waiting for a welcome sign for a little while now. Several miles. You may not believe it, but this slice of western Arizona desert is California. We're in California! 70 miles an hour. That's what it is. Out here in the middle of nowhere. This has been the scenery for the past about 5 hours. Just desert, mountain nothingness. And we're all going exactly 70 because there's a speed trap every 30 freaking seconds. Why? Driving into LA has been pretty crazy. Apparently nobody uses turn signals out here, especially not trucks. But leaving LA looks like it's gonna be way, way, way worse of a time. So not looking forward to that in a couple of days. This is it. The last stop before the last stop. It doesn't feel real. Feels like we still got a lot more to do before tomorrow, but we don't. We're posted up in the bed right next to this air conditioning unit that blows the curtains out so nicely so that if you're changing, like over in this area over here, everyone can see everything through the crack in that window. It is an amazing feature that this hotel has. Rest assured, further burgering has occurred, and we are well loaded with all of the healthy meats and vegetables that we need to continue on our journey. And with that, good night, and I guess I'll see you guys on the return trip. I still don't know how to end a vlog, so this is now where I sleep.
And then we went to VidCon, which was phenomenal. I met so many fans, I made so many new friends, I met some of my favorite creators. I found out that some of my favorite creators watch my stuff, which on TikTok is something you just kind of get used to because it's so easy to find each other, but on YouTube, that's insane. And while I didn't get a lot of footage of VidCon itself, because I'm an idiot, here's some highlights from my stage show with Tyshawn Lawrence.
We're gonna melt this sugar down to a liquid, and then as this plate spins around, it's gonna extrude that sugar out to the sides, and as it hits the air, it'll immediately start to cool down and form back into a solid. Now, changing from a liquid to a solid, is that a chemical change or a physical change?
It's okay.
Pop quiz. Who said it?
It's physical.
It's physical! Yes! So,
No, now you have to sing for us.
later. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour our sugar into this.
Oh, wait.
And hopefully it'll melt down real fast and start making us some delicious cotton candy. Oh crap, there we go.
What kind of time?
We start to lube it up. Grab it, Tyshawn.
I mean,
Help me. Good Lord. Keep going. It's not gonna stop, bro. Just keep going. It's on the fork. Just use your hands. Use your hands. Gather it.
Use my hands.
Yes.
You're supposed to be singing while you're doing this.
Look at the lovely cotton candy. It looks like spider webs.
It's
terrifying. You can collect this and make a whole powdered wig of cotton candy. And it tastes like colonialism. Look at that.
That's a really bad hat.
Take a bite. Try it.
Wait, hold on.
Here, children. Try it. Oh, crap, no.
That was a bad attempt that you throwing that.
It's terrible. Oh, Lord, no, come back. Here, I'll gather up a bit more. I'll gather up a bit more.
While I enjoy my cotton candy right here.
Here, pull this from my disgusting hand, child, and put it into your mouth. Try that. Ask no questions. Take the strange white substance from the stranger and try it.
Y'all are great.
Come on over here. If you lose
Are you sure I ain't gonna need them goggles?
Did you sign a waiver?
No, you didn't give me a waiver.
Then you need the goggles.
Y'all.
Now.
Hold on.
All right. Now, take this guy.
Okay.
And just light the top. I'm gonna show you something really cool.
Okay, so you got me a bootleg little lighter. You couldn't get one. That's not funny. What the?
You did so good. I'm so proud of you, bud.
Are you proud of me?
Yeah, you did great.
Are you proud of me? Yeah. Okay. Y'all fake, because y'all know y'all ain't proud of me. Y'all just wanted to see me fail. Ooh, did I bend it like that?
So what I did immediately after the fire went out, I put a rubber glove over the top and held it. So there's an airtight seal.
So do I
the
need to
gas
step
inside got really, really hot. And now that the gas is cooling down, it's taking up less space, which means the air pressure from literally the whole world is crushing this jug.
Oh, okay, I'm a scientist.
Come on. You ready?
You just told me a science unit that I understood nothing about.
You're welcome.
Is this regular water?
That's regular water.
Like the way I can go to the
this
faucet?
has a significant amount of dihydrogen monoxide in it.
So what's about to happen?
Dihydrogen monoxide is really corrosive. It is deadly if you ingest too much of it.
Okay, I feel like
dihydrogen monoxide is leading cause of drowning worldwide. It's actually, there should be more regulations on it. Dihydrogen monoxide is now found in a lot of baby formulas. It's in almost every water system in the country.
You're not helping the situation.
Dihydrogen monoxide means 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. That's H2O. That's water, Tyshawn.
Oh, yeah.
This is pure water in this. Yeah. Go and dip your fingies in there.
I don't touch you.
You shouldn't. Remember, kids, children, if you want to try this at home, don't.
You got me on the stage. Look, if I embarrass myself in front of these people, Okay, don't pop too many. Listen. Ooh, okay. You got my heart beating. Oh shit! Hey! Oh my God! I want to do that again. You just held fire. I'm gonna do it again. Y'all know the fire minutes. I'm an avatar. Yeah.
Overall, this whole road trip was freaking excellent, and once I get done with all the stuff that I'm working on now, I'd like to do more things like this. Traveling around, learning science, and then teaching it to you, it all just felt very right. So let me know in the comments if you want to see more stuff like this in the future. And with that, I'm Forrest Valkai. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing, and all the other stuff you do here on YouTube. Please exit through the gift shop on your way out. Pick up one of these sweet t-shirts. If you like terrible podcasts, I've got one of those linked down below as well. Have an awesome rest of your day. And never stop learning. Bye-bye. So I guess I'll synchronize all of this. Then chop it up. Position it.